What is up, Green Bay Packers fans? And welcome back to the Daily Draft, brought to you by our friends right here at Badger State Brewing, just minutes away from Lambeau Field in beautiful Green Bay, Wisconsin. And we are right here on the Daily Draft, ready for our first prospect primer. And after what we saw yesterday at the Shrine Bowl, how could I start it with anybody else but North Dakota State's Grey Zabel? Grey Zabel is an All-American left tackle for the Bison there in Fargo, well, technically here in Fargo, North Dakota, but projects to move inside. Part of that is due to short arms, but part of that is just due to, I think, some things that people see on tape, and they think the NFL really views him highly as a center prospect and potentially left guard, right guard. We'll get into that. Right into the pros. Versatility is very, very high level. As I mentioned, he was an All-American at left tackle after time as both a left guard and a tackle on the right side. During his time at right tackle, Jalen Sundell, who is now the backup center and saw time actually against the Green Bay Packers, threw a heck of a block actually against the Packers on the long touchdown by Zach Charbonnet in that game in Seattle. Jalen Sundell was the left tackle. He moved inside at the NFL level to center. I think Grey Zabel might do the same, but Grey, a left tackle, All-American at North Dakota State, spent time as a left guard and a right tackle, and also played a little bit of right guard as a true freshman during the COVID spring season that the FCS had after the fall season was canceled for most of the football championship subdivision. Again, I think he might project at the NFL level as a center. Extremely impressive with grip strength. I think you've seen that at the Shrine Bowl, but you'll see that. Goodness gracious, at the Senior Bowl, but you'll see that game in, game out, week in, week out. If you throw on Grey Zabel's film, he's a finisher. He's the right kind of a-hole. Puts people in the dirt. He will play, what they call through the whistle. And sometimes after we'll talk about that and the cons, but I mean, he's a finisher. He will put his opponent in the dirt. And again, we've seen some of that at the Senior Bowl. Absolutely dominant against Colorado. That of course is important because at the FCS level, they played, I think, David Walker from Central Arkansas as a top 50 prospect. But other than that, like not a ton of super top level pass rushers that they're going against. So when they did have an opportunity to play against a Power 4 opponent in Colorado, I believe one that finished ranked in the top 25, did Dion, Coach Prime, and the Buffs. Zabel was not only good, he dominated. I mean, he was one of the better players on the field in that game. You can see that by watching the tape. You can look at his Pro Football Focus grade from that game. Grey was absolutely dominant against the Buffs. We're only through one practice at the Senior Bowl. He's dominating. Just go to the artist formerly known as Twitter, and search his name. It's everywhere. Trevor Sikkema, Dane Brugler, doesn't matter. Everybody right now is talking about Grey Zabel. He's absolutely killing it in Mobile, and that's important for FCS guys, right? That's important for FCS guys because you have the questions about level of competition. Okay, well, here's not only a step up in level of competition, but here are the best players, in the upcoming draft. Can he block them? He's not blocking him. He's kicking their butts. I mean, Grey Zabel's dominating down at the Senior Bowl right now. He allowed 4 total sacks in 1,137 pass blocking snaps over the course of 4 seasons, as I mentioned, at multiple positions. And just in general, and I'm not a big helmet scout guy, but you do get kind of a high floor with these NDSU offensive linemen. Billy Turner had a long career. Dylan Radin's still in the league. Not a Pro Bowler by any stretch, but Radin's still in the league. Volson has been an absolute Iron Man for the Bengals as a 5th-round pick. Cody Mauch took a huge step forward in year 2 after being a 2nd-round pick. You're just not seeing these NDSU offensive linemen wash out. I think Grey, if he moves inside, has a chance to be the best of the bunch, with potentially a little bit of like emergency tackle flexibility. Cons: he's got short arms. He's got short arms, like shorter than Brian Bulaga's arms, and so I think he's really got a chance to have to kick inside. I don't see him as a tackle at the next level. I know, like, even right now, Pro Football Focus has him classified as a left tackle. I just don't see it. You're seeing a lot of guard, center guard in Mobile right now. I don't think Gray is gonna start at tackle in the league. Now, again, you get in that situation like the Packers had when they were starting Lane Taylor at left tackle. That game against the Vikings where they started Josh Sitton at left tackle. Sometimes when it rains, it pours. I would want an All-American left tackle like Grey Zabel on my roster if it started pouring and I needed somebody to go out there. Okay, getting into the cons, short arms, right? Shorter than Brian Bulaga's arms. He's got short arms, and I think it's going to mean that he's guard, center guard. Uh, but I think you're going to be in a situation like, if folks remember that the game against the Vikings where Josh Sitton had to start at left tackle. If folks remember when Lane Taylor started at left tackle, I think they won a couple games with Lane Taylor starting at left tackle. I think he'd be a great guy to have as sort of an emergency left tackle. He's a first team All-American there. Has shown he can do it. Showed he could do it against a Power 4 opponent in Colorado. Like, if it's break glass in case of emergency and you've got another guy like a Sean Ryan or an Elton Jenkins that can handle center, I think Grey Zabel at left tackle will not get your quarterback killed. And I think that has value. Like, I don't think you start him there. I don't think it's what you want to do, but I think he has the flexibility to not get you murdered. And, if he's a rock solid starter, guard, center guard, I think you're going to be really happy there. Again, he seems like a guard, center guard prospect. That does limit his value to a degree. I don't think he's going much lower than pick 50, just my opinion. He can be a little over aggressive at times. That's in the notes. Personal foul penalties can and have occurred. You're going to have to, again, like I said, he's the right kind of a-hole, but you're going to have to throttle that down, right? I wouldn't call him a dirty player. Obviously, I have biases, right? Like, I know Gray a little bit. I've covered his recruitment. I've known him since he's been at North Dakota State, but I don't know that he even really has like the reputation from like rivals or conference rivals that he's a dirty player, but he's an aggressive player. And yeah, he's gotten flagged for stuff. So that's one thing in the con thing to just sort of keep in mind. Right now, I think he's better or more comfortable in man, pin and pull situations like down blocking as a left tackle or cutting off the backside as a left tackle. And they run behind him a lot, right? He's more comfortable getting his hands on guys and driving than like the wide zone stuff, right? Hitting his landmarks and doing the things that you need to do in wide zone when you're playing a tackle position. NDSU does run plenty of inside and outside zone, but A-gap power and power and G are kind of a lot of their main concepts in the run game. And I like his work better when they're in a man run scheme than when they're zone blocking. That's just one of the cons that, like I said, I have down here on the sheet. Packers fit. He's a super Packer. And that's why we're starting this thing with him. I think, he could potentially be there with their second round pick. Could easily be a Josh Myers replacement. I like him as a prospect significantly more than Myers. I think he's got way more versatility than Myers, who I always viewed as a center only prospect, and they clearly have felt the same. I don't know if with Jordan Morgan kind of lurking, that I would burn another top 60 pick on the line, but I'd probably do it with an interior offensive lineman that I thought had a huge upside like Gray, more than I would just throw like another body at the tackle problem. Right. I think I would just view Grey Zabel as like a big time Jacob Monk upgrade. Now, we haven't seen much from Jacob Monk. He has a chance to improve. He has a chance to show what he can do, develop all those things. But Gray is just a much better prospect than Jacob Monk. Let's see. They've gone down the North Dakota State route before. Christian Watson on the team now. They obviously spent free agent capital on Billy Turner, had Darius Shepard in the past. Even Richard Lewis has come to camp. Cole Heckendorf has come to camp. Like, they've been in on the North Dakota State stuff before. They've also gone down the versatile small school O-lineman road before. TJ Lang, Eastern Michigan, Josh Sitton, University of Central Florida, JC Treader, Cornell, Bakhtiari and Spriggs did not exactly come from powerhouses. Like, yes, they're Power 4, and frankly, yes, their teams had great seasons this year in Indiana and Colorado. But when Jason Spriggs was at Indiana and David Bakhtiari was at Colorado. They were bad football programs, period. So they are not, locked in. And they've taken a Josh Myers from Ohio State, and they've taken a Derek Sherrod from Mississippi State and a Brian Bulaga from Iowa, but they're not locked into, hey, we need to get our offensive linemen from the top 10 programs in the country or we're not interested. They go looking. And I think they just might find them a Grey Zabel, though he's not much of a find because he is probably the most popular name right now coming out of the Senior Bowl. And at 6'5" and 3/8 with versatility across multiple positions and that weight right in that like 315 range, he just could not be more of a Green Bay Packer. We'll see some athletic testing to see if he's even more of a Green Bay Packer. But guys, Grey Zabel is as Packersy as Jordan Morgan was. And obviously they took Jordan Morgan. Right now, bottom line, early grade is a high round 2. Player rank right now is 37 overall. And I say right now a bunch because, guys, the most I've watched on any of these prospects right now, especially with Green Bay making the playoffs, is 3 games. I'm nowhere close to final grades. I only have like 108 guys even ranked and graded right now. You guys know that I get, or if you don't know and you're new to the channel, like I do get to 250, 260, 270 grades, so I can get at least a touch into the guys that I would have graded as UDFAs. I mean, I need to get to like 256 guys that I like, if that makes sense. I feel like I want to get through round 7 of guys that I have a real grade on. And to do that, I have to watch more than 256 guys, right? I got to watch 280, 290 guys, 300 guys sometimes to get to 256 draftable grades for me, how I view things. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you haven't yet, like, click, subscribe, do all the things you're supposed to do right here. There should be, by the way, the Green Bay Draft Guide. Use promo code DAILY for 10% off. We had awesome stuff in the draft guide last year. We're going to have awesome stuff in the draft guide this year. We nailed it with our thresholds, like all the things that you'd like to know when I tell you this is Packersy, this is not Packersy. Of course, you're going to get a ton of that here on the Daily Draft, but you're going to get even more of that in the draft guide, and it's a tremendous way to support what we do, right? It's a tremendous way to help out myself, help out our guy Jacob Morley, and just kind of keep the trains on the tracks here at Packer Report, and certainly all the guys that help out on the guide. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Go Pack, go.